Hey everyone, Cobb once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And this will be my last one for the month of Halloween. So, what I would say, Happy Halloween to everybody. Now, because I wanted to review two films, I want to review for Halloween. One, I reviewed Dog Soldiers, my favorite werewolf film. Love the film to death. Um, Great werewolf film also, but it's my favorite werewolf film. And this one I wanted to review the longest time. But I reviewed the first film last year because it was the 30th anniversary. But this film, one of the most underrated sequels of all time. Even though it has gained a cult following over years, but I think it still continues to get hate on, which I don't understand why. I don't understand that. But and the whole thing is, what makes me want to love the film even more because last month the other sequel that came out, and I absolutely hated the film. And that film gets a 30 some rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's higher, and that's a rating higher than this. And that still pisses me off. Even though that film got negative reviews though, but still it deserves it though. But doesn't still get a much higher rating than this film does. So, a film that I absolutely love to death, that me and my brother grew up watching together, that we both love, and that is for this Halloween review of Predator 2. This is a special edition, a special 2-disc edition. You see right there. This is a special 2-disc edition. Has a lot of features. For the first one, has a full audio commentary with director Stephen Hopkins, and then another commentary with writers Jim Thomas and John Thomas, who were also wrote on the first Predator film. And then disc 2 has an all-new documentary with the hunters and the hunted, 3 behind-the-scenes featurettes, The Predator Goes to Town, international featurette, Creating the Ultimate Hunter, Predator 2 Evolution, special effects and development clips, Predator 2 Weapons of Choice, the weapons analysis, Predator 2 promotional gallery, trailers of TV spots, hardcore, full-length mock news reports from the movie. There was this news reporter who has called Hardcore News. The behind-the-scenes still gallery. So you got a lot of features on this. And of course, this is a special 2-disc edition that I have, and of course I have the Blu-ray. So since I now have a new DVD player that also plays a Blu-ray, I can finally watch this on the Blu-ray, and the picture quality looks good. Even though I said sometimes when I first started, I'm not the biggest fan of Blu-rays, but sometimes you just have to go with the new changes, But I also if it's one film that I love to have on Blu-ray, is this film. So I got the 2-disc special edition, and I got this on the Blu-ray. And not to mention, one of my recent reviews, why it makes me love the film even more, I got this autograph here of Danny Glover signed on the Predator 2. Because Danny Glover, his character is Mike Harrigan, badass. I still need to put this in a frame, so that's why I have these. That's why it came with 2 covers to keep it perfectly good. So yeah. That's Danny Glover. It's Mike Harrigan. He's the I would say, yeah, his best performance. His character was such a badass in this film. He kicks ass, and more I can praise his character enough. I love Danny Glover as an actor, but this is best performance, and just kicks ass. Just a lot of great lines, and he has a toe-to-toe battle, one-on-one battle with the Predator. More of a fight than what Arnold did in the first one. Now, don't get me wrong, the fight with Arnold and the Predator in the first film was good, though, but Danny Glover brought more to the table for fighting wise. And as I said before, it's directed by Stephen Hopkins, who, when I review the Elm Street films, he directed Part 5 of The Dream Child, which to me that sucked. But like I said, he got. I guess people liked what he directed on when I reviewed it. That he gets attention when he made Part 5 of The Dream Child. I guess they liked what he did there. So like, hey, why don't you direct Predator 2? I forget what I said though, but I remember in my review said it was kind of bittersweet overall, because Predator 5 sucked, but at least he going to direct a much more competent film called Predator 2. So I see we could say it's kind of bittersweet though, but I just feel like how he has to direct a good film to make another good film, but he had to direct a bad film to get a good film. So, but Stephen Hopkins easily best film right here. Although he directed a film called The Messengers, I think it was like 2005 or 6. The Messengers. I haven't seen that in a long time. I think I remember don't caring for The Messengers, I think. But Stephen Hopkins, this best film, and the film didn't necessarily. The film Box Office wise didn't do much because it came out during like the Thanksgiving weekend, and it debuted number 4 because it had a packed with popular films. Because at the time in November of 1990 when it came out, Home Alone was a huge hit. It was making up all the money, so Predator 2 didn't stand a chance because Home Alone was so popular back then. And of course, you had the Three Men and a Little Lady, the sequel to Three Men and a Baby, and then you had Dances with Wolves coming out, playing then. So the film didn't do jack overall because those competitions, especially Home Alone, that was the big winner of that month and the end of 1990, and because that was making it rolling all the money in. But it got negative reviews, so it has a 27% Rotten Tomatoes, which I call bull crap. 6.3 is good though, but I give it much higher. I give it like an 8 something for me personally. In my opinion, I give it like an 8 or 9. Because that's how much I love the film. But 27%, way too low. I highly disagree. The Predator got like a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that was higher than this. I call bullcrap on that. But that film made a lot of money. I think it's now made over there make like about 140 million, 140 million, I forget. And just that film made more money than this, more than double what this film made. Sad to say. And I also don't like Predators from 2010 either, so that sucked as well. The first and the second film are the best Predator films. Predators sucked. Then this film, the new film, The Predators sucked because you get humor in this though, but that made too much more of a comedy. Man, the Predator. When I saw the Predator, that just gave me a freaking headache. I don't want to bring it up but I will say that is the worst film I have seen this year. Because that film just pissed me off more because how this film gets hated on over the years, even though people like the film because it has a cult following for fans. But still, there's still people that don't like this film. I'm sure, I'm not surprised that people like The Predator better than this. Hey, people have their own opinions though, but I just don't understand it. I don't understand how people can like that new Predator film more than this. Because you tell me that the lead guy in that film, you don't say that this guy is much more badass than Danny Glover. No, Danny Glover is much more badass than Boy Holbrook. Nowhere near. Danny Glover's up here. This guy is all the way down here. He's not even close to what Danny Glover's performance was. His character of Mike Harrigan. Because it's also a great idea because the first film was in a jungle. Now here it's in the concrete jungle. It's a great location and it's in Los Angeles. And I think it was like in 1997 because they mentioned because Gary Busey's in this. He mentioned 10 years ago, which was 87 for the first film. So this is like 10 years after the first film. And it opens up in this great action sequence where the police are under this war with these drug lords. There's Colombian drug lords and there's the Jamaican drug lords. But first they're having this firefight with these Colombian drug lords. And great action. There's explosions and they've got police that are flying. And then introduces to Mike Harrigan, Danny Glover, who's a badass. And the Predator, he's watching all this. And it shows like once again with Danny Glover being a badass, he first he breaks the door of his car. He's riding on the outside of it, getting shot, without getting hit though, because he uses it as a cover to get these injured policemen off the street. And then he goes when some of them go in the building. He goes around and just hey assholes and shoots one with shotgun, a few of them. And he has a lot of great lines, and he's such a I don't know what more I can say. Badass is just what more I can say about this character. But then the Colombian drug cartels, whatever, then they get, as they're preparing, get all these guns and ammunition, and the Predator drops in, explosion outside, but when they get in there, they're all dead. And they don't know what's going on. Even with the lead guy, the lead bad guy, he runs on the roof, and Dan Glover's like, okay, drop it, right? And the lead guy, he's looking, all scared, all bloodied up, and then he sees the Predator camouflaged, but Dan Glover doesn't know that. Shoots him, and he falls. And Mike Harrigan, he doesn't like heights, and then he turns around. Well, he sees, well, the Predator is right in front of him, but he doesn't see because it's camouflaged. And this is what what I like about this Predator is that what he sees about Danny Glover, he sees him as like a warrior. You see, he sees what he did. He sees what he did in the street during the gunfight, and he sees him as a worthy opponent because like how even though the Predator, the hunting for sport and all that stuff, right? But there's always like the first one, like how all this time towards the end, this Predator saw what Arnold is as a warrior, so worthy of an opponent. So that's why he wanted to have that one-on-one fight with him. And this is the same thing with this Predator sees what in Danny Glover, and anything he sees him talking with his friend Danny, calls him Danny Boy. Ruben, played by Ruben Blades. And Ruben Blades, he's been in some films, but he appeared in like the first few seasons of Fear of the Walking Dead. I haven't watched the new season because I don't know what happened. I'm looking up. I don't think he's not appeared in the fourth season of Fear of the Walking Dead. I don't know what happened to his character. So I know he was in the first two, but I think he disappeared for some reason. I don't know. I haven't watched the rest of the new episodes. After what happens with Cliff Curtis in the beginning of the third season of Fear of the Walking Dead, I began losing interest. So I don't know what happened with Ruben Blades in Fear of the Walking Dead, so I don't care at this point. But he did a good job here as Danny, as Mike's best friend. And then afterwards, like Robert Davi is in this. Nice to see him because I like Robert Davi as an actor. He's like the deputy chief, and he rips into Danny Glover because he went without orders. And as he's walking away, he yells at Danny Glover like about subordination. Get back into your cage. Then Danny Glover maybe laugh. He's like, he starts to run after Robert Davi. He's like, I'll show you insubordination. And Ruben Blades go, no. And Danny Glover, he was ready to fight for Robert Davi. He was like, I'll show you insubordination. And while all this, the Predator is just watching him. And then at the station, you introduced with Maria Conchita Alonso was there with them. Maria Conchita Alonso, she was in not Blade Runner, The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like The Running Man. She was in that film. And at the station, you get Bill Paxton. May he rest in peace. I miss Bill Paxton. He always gives such a good, what would I say, a presence to a film. He always gives a good presence in a film. Never gives a bad performance. Even if he stars in a bad film, he's doing his best because I like Bill Paxton. He's sadly missed. I miss the guy. But it's funny because he stars in a sequel, because for Alien vs. Predator, Bill Paxton stars in both second films, Predator 2 and Aliens. Here he plays a cop he's a Lone Ranger named Jerry Lambert, and then Aliens, he's as Hudson. Game over, man. So yeah, it's funny you get to see both film and both sequels to franchises become for Alien vs. Predator. I wonder if they did that on purpose so that the news someday that AVP will become Bill Paxton star in both sequels. I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. But he's the new guy who got transferred, and Dan Glover is like, that's a Lone Ranger? I thought he was here to fix the air conditioner. And tells us about with Bill Paxton, and is like, welcome to the war. And they give us the score of the fast drumming by Alan Silvestri for the score on the previous one. It was not an exact duplicate score what he did in the first film, but a little bit different score because of the same drumming though, but it was much more faster than the previous one. But the score by Alan Silvestri is excellent. I love the score in this film. This especially, just growing up, me and my brother while watching the film, and the score towards the end I like the most. And then it cuts to this Colombian guy with a woman, And then Colombian, then the Jamaican drug lords, they come in, they hang this guy upside down, do a voodoo ritual, tear the guy's heart out, and the Predator, he goes and takes these guys out like that. He has more, and then in this Predator, he has more than weapons to shoot. He shoots like a net, which sinks into them, which you later see in Alien vs Predator, or when it gets one of the other guys, that net that sinks right into them. And then he has this little hook thing that hits one guy, which they find later in the vent, and spears one guy and just hooks him up. And then the lead guy of the group sees it, tries to use double guns, but doesn't do anything. And then when Danny Glover and his group, they get there, they're all hung upside down, skinned. Excellent gore effects. And once again, speaking of effects, the Predator suit, once again, played by Kevin Peter Hall, who's now no longer with us, played the Predator once again for the previous film. But he once again does a great job as the Predator. And once again, the Predator look in the suit, once again, well done by Stan Winston, another guy who's no. A lot of guys are no longer with us in this film. You got Bill Paxton, you got who worked on it. You also got, like I said, Stan Winston, Kevin Peter Hall. But yeah, Stan Winston, another excellent job by the effects of the Predator. Then I got Gary Busey, plays Peter Keyes, running this division, which they first say is Feds or DAA, but they're not, because they're looking for the Predator. Gary Busey, I love Gary Busey as an actor. He hasn't done much nowadays, sadly. I wish he would give another chance and another starring role, a lead role. Just give the guy another chance, if he doesn't want to do another film, that's his choice, but I would love to see him do another film. Just give the guy, if he is in a film or whatever, he's underused. Honestly, the last film I saw him in a major theatrical release film was Piranha 3 Double D, and he only died at the start of the film. Sad to say. I didn't like Piranha 3 Double D, but I like I had a couple of things I liked about it though, but didn't say the film. Gary Busey, like I said, I think I mentioned that review of it. I think as I did in 2 parts. Like I wish Gary Busey was the lead in Piranha 3 Double D. Have him take on some piranhas. But like I said, he only died at the beginning of the film. Like I said, he's underused nowadays. Give him a good lead role in a film. Give him another chance. He's a good actor. Stephen King's Silver Bullet. He was a good bad guy in the first Lethal Weapon film. This film, I love him in. He was also another fun bad guy in Under Siege. He was in the original Point Break. He was Keanu Reeves' partner. He was good in that film. What was that? I forget. There's another film I forget there was another film I liked, but I enjoy Gary Busey as an actor. Just give him another good chance to have a starting lead, But he was good in he was great in this film as Peter Keyes. And so after the incident with the whole incident, Danny Glover told Ruben Blades to meet me at the room sometime later in the night. So Ruben Blades, he's there by himself. He sees that the hook that was up there that he saw. He goes up there, climbs in to grab it, and then he hears, because the Predator mimics Danny Glover's voice, Danny boy. He falls, but the Predator catches him, but he pulls him in to kill him, and his necklace falls off. And now Danny Glover is furious, and he... Excuse me again. And he's furious. He confronts Peter Keyes, Gary Busey. He's like, listen now, I don't give a fuck what you are. Now it's personal. And this guy is a dead man. But Gary Busey's telling him that you have no idea what you're dealing with. But he won't. And then I like when he lets him go, Danny Glover goes and does this. Because you don't mess with Mike Harrigan, because he'll kick your ass. But then they examine that little weapon. It's like, but the woman says it's not measured on the periodic table. And he goes and meets with King Willie, the Jamaican drug lord, who's head of the Jamaican drug lords. And he doesn't tell him much. But then as soon as Danny Glover leaves, King Willie sees him, and he sees the reflection in the water. And then he has his cane to a sword. And then it cuts to his head like that. His head cut off, and the predator cleans his head for his skull. It's like well done effects once again. And then and what it said how the predator has been watching Danny Glover, and now he's just toying with him now because because Danny Glover is in the cemetery. So what do you think? What would the predator be doing in a cemetery, right? Only he's watching Danny Glover, and there's this kid with his toy gun, doesn't shoot him because it's a toy gun, and then the predator leaves Danny's necklace there for Harrigan to find. So now he's just because he sees something with Danny Glover and he's just toying with him with it, and then it cuts to the subway tunnel with Maria Conchita Alonso and Bill Paxton. There's this other criminal gang there, and then everyone has a gun, and the predator smashes through the top of the subway train, kills the criminals, including some other innocent people. Like you see through his heat vision, you can see his hand grab some people which they were innocent as well. So he even kills some other innocent people too. Because well, first of all, they all had guns. There was a lot of innocent people like they all had guns on this criminal gang, so that's why. And when Maria Conchita Alonso gets the rest of the people out of there, Bill Paxton, he went out fighting as well. I didn't mention, like in my previous review for my review for Dog Soldiers, there was that character Spoon. He had this one-on in the kitchen, one-on fight with a werewolf. He's doing everything. He's throwing stuff at, stabbing at him with a frying pan. He went out like a badass. He even says a badass one-liner as well. Here, Bill Paxton, he's shooting at it. Has no ammo. He throws his lucky golf ball at it, and then grabs a knife and says, "Come on, motherfucker, let's dance!" And he went out there fighting as well, like a badass too. So yeah, so you get a lot of good characters that you like, and they die as badasses. They went out like badasses. Like I said, that character Spoon in Dog Soldiers, and then you got Bill Paxton's Jerry Lambert, like the same thing. But then Maria Conchita Alonso, he finds him hung upside down. The predator grabs her, but doesn't kill her because he sees that she's pregnant, so he lets her live. Sees the baby within her. And then when Mike gets there, he finds that the predator rips Jerry's spine and skull out. He's like, "No, Jerry!" He chases after the predator. He gets caught by Peter Keyes' men, and Gary Busey explains to him what's going on. Like I said, you do not know what you're dealing with. So he explains how he's able to camouflage himself and by seeing our heat, and it tells him he mentions the first film by saying that 10 years ago, one of his kind stalked and killed an elite group of commanders in the jungle of South America, but there was only one survivor. And then, he said there was two survivors, and that was Arnold Schwarzenegger's Dutch, and then I forgot the actress' name who played Anna. And you even see a picture of Anna's on the computer screen as well. You see her picture there as well. So you do mention that you see the first film as well. So you get her picture there, and they mentioned there were two survivors in the jungle that stalked and killed the group of commanders. And he tells them, like, he's on safari. The lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. Trophies, Dan Glover says. He's like, "You're the lion. This is his jungle." And tells them that he said. Now here's the thing though. Gary Busey says it nonchalantly, but he doesn't make a joke out of it though. So he says, we prepared a perfect little trap for this predator. He said he doesn't call it a predator like in The Predator, like Sterling K. Brown says it. He says it just by calling it we took a vote, but we decided to call it predator. Fuck yeah. That was not meant to be a joke. Gary Busey just says it nonchalantly. He didn't call it what it was. He just says, because he says it's a predator that hunts people. He doesn't call it calling it the predator or whatever. He just says it nonchalantly, saying, we prefer a perfect trap for this predator. Basically, he says it, but he didn't make a joke out of it. Not like with Sterling K. Brown. He says, we decided to take a vote. We'll decide to call it the predator. Fuck yeah. I'm not getting into that. That was like, That was aggravating. That was such aggravating for me to watch. But here, Gary Busey, he says it not making a joke out of it. He says it nonchalantly, not trying to make a joke out of it. So they plan to capture him. They get the suits to resist their heat, body heat, and Danny Glover's watching as they go into the slaughterhouse. Another good, cool setting of the slaughterhouse, and the Predator. They think that they have the drop on him because he at least think. Well, because to much do they know, the Predator can switch his vision, which they did not know about, so he can see their flashlights. So they didn't count on him having more than one way to change his vision. So he sees their lights. He gets a drop on them. He's tossing people with his spear and he's shooting them. And then also it's Gary Busey. He's all by himself. And when Danny Glover he gets out, he tells people to open the door and he says, "Fuck yourself." Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention Adam Baldwin is in this as one of the Gary Busey's right hand guy. He tells him, "You're gonna mess everything up," and then Danny Glover says, "Fuck yourself." And then Danny Glover, he's gearing up. He's prepared to fight this guy like a badass. He's gearing up. He's got a shotgun. He's got this vest on with a armor plating inside, and he bursts. He gets a grenade gun, shoots it, and which is when the Predator is about to shoot Gary Busey. He sees the explosion. I like how he sees the explosion. He turns this way, and the gun is still facing Gary Busey. And while Danny Glover is saying, "You want me? Here I am." And as he starts walking away, he shoots the gun at Gary Busey, and he's like, "Ah!" This shows that the Predator doesn't give a two bits about Gary Busey. He's just walking away. He goes and shoots Gary Busey, not even giving a crap. But he goes and gets this really awesome fight with Danny Glover. He shoots at it because the Predator is camouflage. He can't camouflage it because of the rain. I guess the sprinklers made him not camouflage. But he shoots at the Predator. He messes up his cannon. Then he shoots at Danny Glover. He pierces him because he had that armor plating on him, and he runs until he gets cornered. But he just surprises him, and he shoots him multiple times with a freaking shotgun. Shoots him like 7 times, like here, like a badass. And it's like this is why he does more fighting against the Predator than Arnold does. I mean, it was a good fight between Arnold and the Predator in the first film, but here, Danny Glover, he's shooting at the Predator. He takes a spear gun. Well, he threw a spear at him, but he takes that spear and pushes him off the ledge, and then, well, everyone's seen the Predator 2 by now, but still, but he does more fighting with the Predator more than Arnold does in the first film. But I'm saying I like the little fight between him and the Predator in the first one. But here, Danny Glover does a lot more badass stuff. He's shooting at the shotgun, shooting a whole bunch of times. Ah! And then he goes and he thinks he's dead. Well, he takes his mask off, and then he says, "You are one ugly mother." He cuts him, grabs him by the throat, cut him off, and he finishes the sentence for him. Motherfucker. Then he breaks the shotgun just like that, and then Gary Busey he pops up. Guess who's back? And tries to freeze him. And then he's like, "Get out of here again! I'm gonna save your ass. It's between me and him." And then the Predator gets his smart disc, just cuts Gary Busey in half. Although it's kind of funny how the way it's shot though. You see Gary Busey's lower half when he gets cut in half, and it's a very gory death. You see his lower half gets cut in half and it falls down. But it's funny, what about his upper half? You see blood dripping down onto the lower half, but whatever happens to the upper half, it's like it's hanging. Which I always kind of find quite funny, because the lower half falls to the ground, but what about the upper half? It's like it's still hanging. You don't see it fall to the ground on the lower half, though. So, well, I always thought that was kind of weird, though. How the lower half, the upper half just is floating in the air. But you see the lower half fall down with blood dripping on it, but then not the upper half. But anyway, it was still a good death. It was a good death for Gary Busey as well. So, but then Danny Glover goes up to the roof and he starts shooting at it while the Predator throws a spear, and he takes that spear and pushes him off the ledge. And then the Predator is holding on Danny Glover's arm off the ledge, and he goes, "Okay, pussyface, it's your move." The Predator is speaking, "Shit happens." and then he's about to use his self-destruct mechanism on his arm. But then not Gary Busey, Danny Glover, just at the last second, he once again, like a badass, he takes that smart disc they left there, and just cuts the Predator's arm off, and also destroying the self-destruct mechanism. So then the Predator falls into this old lady's bathroom, and then once again with I keep saying Gary Busey, Danny Glover, he's in like heights, so he slowly crawls over this pipe, and he's like, maybe it's just like falling off a log, a 30-story log. Maybe I'll get lucky and fall. And while the Predator, he has fixed himself up with his own little first aid kit, patched himself up with the holes in his arm, runs out, and then Danny Glover, ultimately he falls down, and he falls into their spaceship. And enjoy the look at how the spaceship is, and then Danny Glover, for a moment, he takes like a moment, because he's like, first of all, because he has a lot of taking, because he's inside an alien spaceship, and then he sees the trophy case, and he sees the human skulls, and some other ones, and he sees the alien xenomorph head. So yeah, they purposely put it in there because they're both 20th Century Fox property. I guess they purposely put there to set up for a future AVP film, I guess. But it was always cool to me, and Taylor thought it was always cool to see the alien xenomorph head in there. And hey, Danny Glover, he got to see an alien head. Every time I look at that scene when it shows the xenomorph head, and Danny Glover, he's there looking at all the skulls, he sees the xenomorph head. So yeah, Danny Glover with connecting with the Alien franchise. That was always a cool thing. I was keeping saying in my head, Danny Glover looking at the alien head. But then he gets he gets caught in that net that he shot the Predator shoots, but he cuts himself out of it with the disc. And once again, he has this badass one-on-one fight with the Predator. He's reflecting, using the disc and reflecting. The Predator has those two blades that he always has. This badass one-on-one fight with the Predator, and then he gets onto his knees. He does a fake out and just sticks it right into the guy's chest, and it's like, "That's right, asshole. Shit happens." Sticks it into it further and just takes it out, and then kills the Predator. And which it gets to this where he has this scene right here where he finally checks that the Predator is finally dead. That scene right there. Danny Glover, once again, he's such a badass character. Mike Harrigan, badass character. And then he's surrounded by other Predators, and he even says another badass liner. He's like, "Okay, who's next?" And then, well, I'll get to that in a second. But the other Predators, they take away their fallen comrade, and the elder Predator gives him an old pistol to take it. And he reads 1715 with the guy's name on it. This guy with a guy's name on it, and which if you read, you can find it on YouTube where it explains the story about that pistol. It's in a comic that pistol belonged to from that year in 1715. The guy's name, it belonged to a pirate. I guess that's the elder Predator in that time back then. I guess. I don't know how old Predators can get though, but I guess that's the same elder Predator that was in that comic. That he was supposed to fight that pirate, but I guess the pirate's own crew turned his back on him. They shot him, and he gave him that pistol, said take it. So that's how I guess that explains the backstory with that pistol that belonged to a pirate. So the Predator says that same line, take it. But I guess also either the Predator reminded of the pirate that he knew, or that he defeated one of his warriors in combat, and it has like that code of honor thing where he lets him go because he sees him as a worthy opponent, as a warrior. That's why he awarded him or gave him that pistol. So yeah. So then the ship takes off, and he's covered in ash, and then the Adam Baldwin comes in and says, we were so close, and he says, "Don't worry, asshole, you'll get another chance." The cops arrive, and the helicopter light still keeps still keeps on Danny Glover standing there. I like how it ends with him just standing there. So the way I'm talking about this, with how fun this movie is, I'm thinking this is a film that gets hated on over the years. I just don't understand it. I never understood the hatred for this film. I just never know. Like I said, everything I explained, especially the highlight of the film. Danny Glover is Mike Harrigan. The lines that he says, the badass stuff that he does, going up against this predator, and other good supporting cast members like Bill Paxton, Gary Busey, Murray Gachino Alonso, Ruben Blades, the action, the gore and all that stuff, the effects by Stan Winston, the score by Alan Silvestri, the easily fast pace as well. I forget to mention the pace in this film. It's only where is it? Trying to find out. 108 minutes. But it's easily fast paced. It goes like that, and the settings, like the concrete jungle in the city of Los Angeles. You got that, and the subway, and the slaughterhouse, and then on the alien ship. And why does this film get hit? The negative reviews. I have no idea why. I just don't. The box office wise, well, maybe it's because it was released around that time because of Home Alone, but it deserved to make much more money than that, and it deserved to get more praise. And just 27%, I disagree. I would give it an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, to be perfectly fair. And this is my opinion, it doesn't deserve the hate. The Predator deserves much lower, as does Predators from 2010. Danny Glover is much more badass of a character. His character is much more badass than Adrian Brody was in The Predators, or Boy Holbrook was in The Predator. And The Predator doesn't have stupid subplots with how the bigger Predator and with their whole, and the other Predator, the whole reasoning and all that. It just that the whole subplot in The Predator is stupid, and it completely deviates what the Predator in this film and the first film does, hunting for sport, because it likes heat and conflict. The Predator completely deviates away from what these things were originally supposed to be designed for, or where they're made for. Frick. This is what pisses me off, is that when you get such a badass lead guy, and all this other stuff that happens in the film, this one gets hated, and well, this gets 27%, and The Predator gets 38%. I'm just curious, what did Predators from 2010 get from Rotten Tomatoes? I'm just curious. I forget though. What did Predators get on Rotten Tomatoes? Because I know it's all subjective from Rotten Tomatoes though, but I'm just saying. You can agree and disagree whatever it had on Rotten Tomatoes. 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that film got more positive reviews than Predator 2, of course, well, it got more than Predator, but still. But 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, more than twice what this film got, at 27%. That just still pisses me off. I don't like Predators. I don't like the Predator at all. Stop with these franchises, like with Alien franchise, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Stop with that, okay? Yeah, but this film the Predator pissed me off most this year. This is why this is the worst. I will say it's the worst film I've seen this year, because it pissed me off a lot, so much. Because considering how big fan of this film, I got this in the Blu-ray, and of course I got to this little autograph here from Danny Glover of that just shows he's a badass character. I'll never understand. Like I said, Danny Glover, badass, his best film, and his character is also badass, and just performance-wise, character-wise, the moments that he has, especially with fighting with the Predator and the humor lines that Davi says, Or I forgot to mention when he was talking with Captain earlier in the film, it's like, "You cut off my dick and shove it up my ass." The door swings both ways when he talks with Bill Paxton. And Gary Busey was a fun role for him. And Bill Paxton, may rest in peace. The effects by Stan Winston, may rest in peace, on the Predator, and same with Kevin Peter Hall, who did a great job as the Predator. Different kind of Predator, a little bit not exact same as the first one though, but different kinds. He has much more toys he does with it. Much more of his toys that he uses to kill his victims with. I think the Elder Predator is also played by Kevin Peter Hall as well. But the settings, the jungle set, the concrete jungle of Los Angeles, and like I said, the spaceship, and then in the subway tunnel and the slaughterhouse, and just all these great kills and good amounts of practical gore and stuff, and just the score by Alonso Vestry, I love, especially the score that was playing during the finale. And the fight between Danny Glover and the Predator was much more than the fight in the first one. I keep on mentioning it though, but still, because Danny Glover did more than what Arnold did against the Predator. So I don't know how much I can praise this film enough. I love this film to death. It's one of the most underrated sequels ever. Because there's not a sequel that I love more that gets hated on a lot that I don't think it doesn't deserve. I don't know more. I can't think of another sequel. I can't. Stephen Hopkins did a great job with this film, and the writers, like I said, the Thomas brothers did a great job because they wrote the first film and they did a really good job writing on it. I also forgot to mention it was nice to see Robert Davi in there as well. I forgot to mention him, and Adam Baldwin, but more I could say. I love this film to death. Love the sequel. Doesn't deserve the hate. And like I said, Danny Glover, best performance, and his character is such a badass. All right, who's next? The stuff that just brings a smile to my face. It just makes me smile. That just, man, is one of the most he's definitely one of my favorite characters in a horror / action / sci-fi films. So I just took a lot because it's just making me excited to watch this film over and over again. I did just watch this film before starting this review, and it made me want to watch it again. That's how it makes me love this film. It makes me so excited. Just cheering Danny Glover on when he's finding the Predator. It's like, yes! It makes me so excited. Makes me so excited for root for a character in a film. But yeah. So once again, this is my Halloween review for Predator 2. You can also my Halloween review on Dog Soldiers. You can check out my previous one. So Dog Soldiers and these are my Halloween movie reviews. So you can check that film out. Love the film too, and this film too. Predator 2. Like I said, it's a kick-ass, badass sequel. And once again, happy Halloween for 2018 to everybody. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.